Hello and welcome to Comfort Legacies with Faye Michelle. Today we have our beautiful guest here, Miss Zenda, and I'm going to let Zenda tell us a little about herself.
Hello, I am Zenda Walker. I am author of the book Zara's Wash Day. It's a Know Your Heritage series book.
Awesome.
New author of Zara's Wash Day. I'm also a licensed cosmetologist and marketing and sales executive. And I have a beautiful daughter named Zara who inspired the book.
Oh, okay. So where are you from?
I am from the Bronx, New York, originally, and I reside right now in Los Angeles.
Oh, you're all the way across. You're in Los Angeles now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. All right. Do you have a copy of the book with you?
I do. That's what I reached for.
Okay. Oh, you're going to be able to flip through the pages for us. Tell us a little bit about how you were inspired to write Zara's Wash Day, and how that whole thought process came together.
Okay. There are several reasons why I wrote this book. Some of it stems from my early childhood memories and experiences of having wash day with my family. And I'll never forget a moment in time where my sister and I were getting our hair done in the kitchen salon that our mother
That's right.
had for us. And I'll never forget, we were getting our hair done and we were fidgety. Our hair was really tangly. And so we had some of the same experiences that a lot of people of African descent have when they're getting their hair washed, right? You might have sensitive scalp. You might have, really coily, tangly hair. And we were really fidgety and crying, my sister and I. And I'll never forget, one day my dad came into the kitchen while we were getting our hair done. And he let us know, he said, Zenda and Rachel, he said, your hair, I know right now it doesn't seem like it's super pleasant and you're uncomfortable, your scalp is tender, but always remember that your hair is connected to your maroon ancestry. And I looked at him, I couldn't have been more than 8 years old. And I thought, maroon, that's the only color I know is one of my crayons in my color box. What do you mean maroon? And he went on to explain that maroons were Africans who were brought over to the Caribbean, and in particularly Jamaica, which is where my family's from, who resisted bondage and ran to the hills of Jamaica and set up free communities where they could practice a lot of their African traditions. And I was so intrigued by the story at this age, and I wanted to hear more. And I know that after my dad went on to explain our history, I know I sat a little bit differently in my mother's chair, and it didn't seem as painful or, as troublesome to get my hair done. Like, I actually sat up with more pride. I felt like that foundational history and knowledge really gave me a sense of confidence and made me differently about the styles my mom was creating every week in our hair. And so these were traditions I wanted to pass down to my daughter. And these are the conversations I've been having with my daughter about all these amazing hairstyles that I create in her hair with beads and braids and twists. And she asked me, why do I wear my hair in beads? Why do I have to wear my hair in twists? And this was the story I passed down from her grandfather that really helps her to be more confident and to wear her hairstyles with pride.
That is so amazing.
Thank you.
What day was your hair wash up?
So we had Saturday wash day because we always wanted to get our hair prepped and prepared for Sunday morning church on Sunday. So that was our wash day. But with my daughter, it's actually Sundays. And so, yeah, that's our tradition.
Oh, okay. So ours was Friday. And since I'm cosmetology, I mean, it could have been every day for me. So I had three sisters, and I was always twirling in everybody's hair. So yeah. I love the title Wash Day. So did you self-publish the book?
I did self-publish, and wow, what a journey that was.
Yes, walk me through that. What was that like? Had you ever written a book before?
I had never written a book. I had, however, seen a quote by Shonda Rhimes,
Hmm.
famous producer and writer, that talked about the fact that when you're writing things on paper, your ideas and your thoughts, you are a writer. And it really made me think, wow, like I am an author whether I'm published or not. And so I have this work of writing. I use writing as a tool throughout my life to express myself, to frustration, happiness, all sorts of emotions, and I just write. And so I had this book, um, this idea in my head for this book, but what really helped me to pull it all together was when 2020 came around and we were all forced into this moment of silence through a pandemic, through involuntary homeschooling.
Yes.
Yes. And then, even watching what was going on during 2020 with the racial reckoning in America, um, we were really sat in this stillness, but in a different way, right? There were things that were coming through our messaging, that and images and video and things that were coming through our homes in a different way. And I knew that I was going through all the emotions that everybody else in the pandemic was going through. But I thought to myself, you know what? This is a really good time to kind of revisit some of the works that I've been working on. And this book in particular was very personal because, again, I've been having this conversation with my daughter. I realized that even with all the affirmations that I give her every year or every day,
Hmm.
she was still getting underlying messages from society in general that maybe her hair wasn't good enough or that she wasn't as beautiful or because she was still having those questions. And so I found myself during our wash days taking that special time to reinforce and rebuild her confidence. And so I set out to edit this manuscript, and I also reached out to find an illustrator. And then I found myself in this self-publishing cycle. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for this. And I had the motivation and all of the energy of 2020 and courage. Just go for it.
Yes, I like that term, the energy of 2020. It seems like all the years before were all packed into one. It's like, what do I do? What do I do? And so much time, so much time.
Absolutely.
So, where'd you find your illustrator?
Great question. So, I Googled who are the top illustrators in African American art. I
Really?
It was very important for me that I found an illustrator that understood our hair texture, that understood how to recreate African American or African descent images that were respectable, that showed us in all our glory, and that who could really also understand my vision when they saw the manuscript. And I came across a young lady named Princess Karibo as an up and coming illustrator. She's a self taught illustrator. She actually resides in Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, yeah, and I thought, wow, even better to have that connection to the motherland, to of someone who really truly understands even the message that I'm actually bringing across here. So I was lucky that to find her. I wrote several other illustrators, but she actually wrote me back and we had this collaboration. I told her what I was trying to do and she got me instantly. And when I first saw those first few sketches, I thought, wow, she understands this and this is going to be a beautiful collaboration.
Wow, that is amazing. That is just truly amazing. People right here can't find someone. So, um, so how did you communicate with her? I mean, just through emails, or
It was
what
through,
about the financial aspect of it? Was it like, because a lot of people go to Fiverr or Upworks or something like that, and there's a, middleman in between. How did that work out for you?
So it worked out really well because initially, when I looked at all her artwork, I already was drawn to the level of detail, how she used lighting. And I love the
Yeah.
fact that she was very diverse in her skin tones with all of her characters, that
Mhm.
she understood that there's such a wealth of beauty that comes from the African American community and that come from people of African descent. And so I knew immediately that she was the person, but then also when we collaborated, she was very professional. We talked that we had our own contracts to sign of how we wanted to work together. She was very clear about what her stipulations were as far as how many edits and making sure that I understood even how to look at illustrations and
Right.
kind of give the feedback to get what I needed. And so she gave me her fee, and to be honest, I literally could have gone anywhere and probably gotten someone that was less expensive, or but for me it really was all about investing in the quality of the message and really what I wanted my audience to see when they looked at this book. I really wanted that connection, and she had the skill set, and I was willing to go there. So we had a
Okay.
great. It took about 5 months actually, back and forth before we completed the entire book.
Okay. Okay. So did you have a lot of revisions?
So we had several. I would say for each picture, we probably revised at least twice,
Okay.
2 or 3 times for each image, just to get it exactly where I wanted it to be.
Okay. Okay. So for someone that far, did you use like a PayPal system, or how did you do the transaction?
We used a PayPal system,
Okay.
kind of like an international family PayPal.
Yeah, and everybody does it differently. And you're the first one that actually Googled someone. I had a lady who went to Amazon and looked at all the credits, or found a book that she liked and scrolled down and found this illustrator. So that's really interesting. You description of what you wanted and you found someone. And so, yeah, so there's so many ways of connecting with people.
Absolutely. And there was no holds barred for me. When I Googled, I looked at the top illustrators in African American art, and the first person on that list was Vashti Harrison, who
Okay.
is a very
Amazing.
popular illustrator who has illustrated Lupita Nyong'o's book, who does Little Leader, a whole series, very successful. And I wasn't afraid to reach out. I reached out to every single one on that list, but
Yes.
Prince Karibo was actually number 3. And that really, and when I looked at every single one of those illustrators' art, I went to their Instagram, I went to their websites, just to
Wow.
see, this kind of the
Amazing.
aesthetic I want for my book. And
Awesome.
was
Can you flip through some of the pages? That is awesome.
absolutely. So you can
That
see
is.
this is the cover image. But when we walk through, you're going to see we have
Ah,
like
yes.
day. And what I do, I show some very familiar. She showed a lot of emotion. You can see that this is kind of
Yes.
where the tangling happens. That's actually an actual picture of my mother that I have in my house.
Really?
Yeah, so I use real references and kind of emotions and images. This was an interesting image that I wanted to share.
Yes, that's
Image
awesome.
of
Wow.
my Jamaican ancestry with
Yes.
the continent. And then we also have images of all the styles that we're celebrating. So, for instance, this is an image of the Fulani braided style,
Mm-hmm.
beads
Yes.
and
Wow.
adornments.
Wow.
This is
The
a
dots.
Bantu knot style that I grew up wearing that we call chiny bumps in Jamaica. As another Senegalese twisted style. So I referenced several different looks and
Yes.
connect it back to the continent. This is a style that was inspired by my sister locks, which resemble the Maasai warriors in Kenya, how they wear their hair.
Okay.
And I even, did some references to history, how our pre-colonial coiffure styles and, the kind of famous Angela Davis fros and
Yes.
our Tim Young head wraps that we were required to wear in America in the 1700s. And here's a kind of a reference to a very glamorous style.
Good.
So these are all images from Princess Karibo, and she really picked up on what I was
Wow.
It's Mama and Zara.
That is
Sorry.
uh,
We even have the back of the book even shows the back of her hairstyle.
beautiful. Oh wow. So which that's amazing. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Which servers did you use Kindle or what platform did you upload to?
Great. So I uploaded to Ingram Sparks,
Okay.
as you know, pretty well-known printing
Yeah.
publishing company, and
Yes. Did you do all of your books in the hard copy
so
and
I
the
did.
hard copy, the paperback?
So I have hard copy as well as
Hmm.
paperback version as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, and then I will actually. You're probably the first to hear that I'm working on the published book. EPUB
Okay.
is actually available on Barnes and Nobles, but I will have an iBook and
Okay.
um, a Kindle version as well.
Okay. Oh wow. That it's a gorgeous book. So, how old's your daughter?
My daughter is 7 years old. She just turned
So,
seven.
how is she feeling about the book?
Well, she saw me going through the entire process all of 2020 while she was homeschooling, and I have to say, when we got that first copy, it
Uh,
was the thing that
Hold up, hold right there. So, my question: how did you feel when you got the book in your hand?
that was the best feeling in the entire world, to know that all the work that I had been putting in 2020 literally came together in this really well put together piece, and it felt amazing. And when I saw my daughter's reaction to the book, that was the thing that really warms a mother's heart, to know that she could actually see me putting in the work and to see it all result in a finished piece.
Yes, yes, I know that was amazing. So, did you get a proof copy first, or did you just order your author's copies right away?
So I would say I did get approved first, and that was like excruciating because I wanted to put it out right away. But I think it's extremely important for authors to look at that printed copy first to make sure everything looks exactly as planned,
Yeah.
um, and to also to see if there's any other communication you need to have with the publisher, the printing company, to make sure that everything is bound and the way you want it. So I did do that first.
Yes, I did proof copies, but then after I thought I had the big hit, I was just like, I need this book right now. And I needed to get it back. It turned out there was an error. So, yes, you need to
Oh
get the
yeah.
proof copies.
And one of the things that I did, and I'll be honest, like I'm very transparent as a new author. The first proof actually didn't even have my illustrator's name on the cover, and that was a no for me. I didn't want to be
Oh,
known as that author that didn't credit. So that was one of the reasons why it was so important. And then to even look at how those images, the colors came out as well. So.
okay. So when you got your designs back, who did your formatting?
That is a great question, because this is the credit that I cannot explain to you how lucky I was to have the team that I did. So Princess Karibo did the illustrations, but I actually ended up hiring a book designer to put the book together.
Oh,
And Miss Faye, listen, I am the type of person that I thought I was going to do everything, even the illustrations. I was going to do everything from the writing to the illustrations to the formatting, and
yeah.
I looked into that. But once I got into the rhythm of really putting this book together, I realized that the best thing that I could have done for myself was to really seek out experts in different areas of publishing. And so not only was
So,
it great to have the illustrator, but I looked up, I belong to a platform called Readsy, which is it's almost like the Fiverr or the Fiverr for authors, where you can seek out um, independent contractors. And I found this independent contractor. His name is Anthony Ferranda of Studio Ferranda. And I will be honest, like I knew for this book that I wanted everyone I wanted all Black collaborators. I wanted to seek out that talent from the African American community, and I thought that that would also add a lot of credibility to what I was trying to do. And then I met Anthony Ferranda, who is of Filipino descent, but I looked at his background, I looked at what he has produced thus far, and I thought, wow, he is amazing, and I want to work with this person. And he has been one of the most amazing collaborators that I could have ever been so lucky to stumble upon. And he is actually the person that took the illustrations, and you see this lovely background. We collaborated together and we found traditional African gele prints. We found, I told him my vision that I wanted this book to be targeting. My target customer is people of African descent, although this book is for everyone. But I wanted it to say, this is for you, my sisters and brothers. But I didn't necessarily want it to be like, I didn't want it to have necessarily such an obvious aesthetic. Like I didn't necessarily want the background to be a kente cloth aesthetic, right? Or but we found some amazing prints. We customized it with these fun colors. We found this very unique print because we were also thinking, great, we want to produce a quality work, but what about also thinking about literary awards and illustration and design awards as well? And how would this book stand out on Amazon.com, on a library bookshelf, or in a bookstore bookshelf?
Right.
So this is where we looked at all of these prints.
Yes, beautiful.
And one of the other features that we collaborated on was for each of the styles that we reference.
Yes.
We actually.
Yes, I noticed that.
Yes, we customized. So this, for instance, is a Fulani shield for the Fulani people of West Africa. And we recreated these shields and put them at the end of each of the verses, so in additional celebration of the cultures that we are focused on, right? So you'll see with the Bantu knots, we created a Bantu shield of the South African people.
Okay.
And we added some of those details as well. But
wow, that's amazing. Even that is different there to do that. Now, what is that a description of?
So when I realized I was going to be writing a children's book, I thought in my first couple edits that I wanted the story to be fun and exciting and lighthearted for the children. But we do make references, or I do make references to historical content. And so I thought it would be fun to empower parents or caregivers or adults as well when they're reading these stories to children to reference a glossary in the back, so I can dive deeper, or they could dive deeper into the history. So you'll see here
beautiful
definitions for cornrows or Fulani tribe or Zulu, Bantu, curvy, coily. What does all that mean? And so I'm just empowering everyone with a little bit more education and knowledge.
So I can't wait till you send me my copy. So my signed copy. That is awesome. I just love it. And your process that you've gone through, if is just totally different from everyone else. You got a book designer. Typically, they get the illustrators. Either they know the right sizing or formatting. It works sometimes, or sometimes it doesn't. And then you went from there to getting a designer, which help you to even further do your pictures and your cover. So he pretty much did your cover for you.
Absolutely.
Your cover and your back. You just used the illustrations.
Yes.
You designed it, then he formatted it and gave you the PDF, and then you uploaded it yourself.
Yes. And so we had several rounds of making sure that the formatting was correct.
Yes.
And, it's a lot of editing, and then I was able to upload. Okay,
so tell me this. You went through, I don't know why it keeps, Ingram Sparks.
Yes.
You went now. Did you also do, so you didn't do Kindle Direct at all?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you went through the Ingram Sparks, and they have their mass distribution. So it'll end up on Amazon anyway. So I was
Yes,
just trying to get at whether or not you had to do two different platforms. When you format for Ingram and you format for Kindle. So that's like two different processes.
absolutely. So yes, I had to format for Ingram for both the paperback and the hardback and the EPUB.
Hmm.
But you're correct. You do need a different format for Kindle, which is what I'm also learning as I'm working on the Kindle version, the
Yes,
iPad version as well. And so that's something that is a separate process I'm learning
yes,
uh,
yes.
as well. As well.
Okay. All right. Well, wow, it's fantastic. Love, 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 love the book. What advice would you give anyone that's trying to get started on doing a children's book?
Good question. The advice I
Mouthful.
is, the advice I would give. So there's three things for me that
Okay.
really stood out as a must have in the process. And number one, the advice I would give is to simply to have the courage, just write it, right? Write it, have the courage to write all your ideas. And just know that when you're going through the editing process, one of the most important things is to actually seek out or reach out to a developmental editor. Because what I
Mm.
realized is that, when you're thinking about how children think and what really truly resonates with children, you everything that you write might not be appropriate, or it might be too heavy or too much. And then when you have a developmental editor, it really helps to give the flow of the book. And a developmental editor actually thought about some of the things that I didn't have the experience at the time to think about. So, for instance, the rhythm of the book, you know, there's actually a rhythm in the writing that's a nod to the hembe drum, which is a West African drum as well. And so when I let my development editor know that I wanted this book to have a rhythm, she actually was able to walk through where the rhythm was falling off beat. Even simple details like that, but also then how to create, because this is also written in a poetic format, what words truly did rhyme, what didn't. Like, so there were all those details that I think a developmental editor brought a lot of value to. The other piece is thinking even about your copyright, um, or if you're going to trademark. Some of those details are very important. So I also sought out an attorney to
Wow.
get the right information. This is all stuff that we can Google and do on our own. But what I realized too is that it's okay to ask for help and to
Yes.
seek out experts. And that investment that you put in it is an investment in yourself and in the quality of what you're doing. So you can stand out as a self-published author as well. And then lastly, the other advice is oftentimes, especially when becoming a first time author, we have what we call this imposter syndrome, where we see that there's a million authors out there. There are people publishing every day. I see posts on social media about this is my seventh book, my 10th book. He said, cut out all that noise and realize that the minute you put your thoughts and creativity on paper, that you truly are an author, and don't feel like an imposter, because we all have a place in this world. There's room for us all. And I think it's, as long as you kind of focus inward on really what you're trying to do and the message that you're getting across, just know that you are adding value to the world and you are not an imposter. So those are probably the three things that really came up for me in this process.
Okay. Well, those are great, great tips. And yes, the imposter syndrome is I would say, a new term that has been used quite often is in this space, and any creator space, actually. And so, yeah, it is very important to get past that, not being good enough or being shorting yourself and whatnot. Yes, yes, just get it done. So anyway, Miss Zenda, I appreciate you so much for being here today and sharing all of your journey with us. It has been fantastic. I love the heritage. As you can see, I'm Sister Cosmo with you. Love, love, love hair. Always have. And I just thought the book was fascinating. I knew it was one that I had to have. I knew I had to have you here. So
Thank you so
it's
much.
awesome. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for this platform as well.
You're
Appreciate
so welcome.
it.